Hello, hello, people of the internet. Cosmic Adults here, Ian, also the Freedom Astrologer, Mercedes, and this time we're sitting here with a very special person for us, and our cosmic mom, Cindy Edson, the intuitive channeler extraordinaire, is sitting here, almost here with me, in another continent, but still on our podcast. Finally, you're here. Welcome, Cindy. Welcome, Mercedes. How are you guys doing?
Hey, thanks for having me here today. I'm really excited to talk about whatever wants to be channeled through and talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you. This has been like a long time in the works. I hope. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
And for me, what I'm very curious about, and I think a lot of people are also curious. I know the story a little bit here and there, but how did you, Cindy, come into this space, this spiritual space, this channeling space, this spirituality thing, let's call it?
Yeah. Around 2005, I went to take a massage training course. And in that course, there was this moment that had happened with the group. And she wanted all of us to walk around the inside of a circle and look at a person in the eye for like 30 seconds and then move to the next person. And she didn't explain what we were doing. We're just doing that. And then I realized that I was seeing these images in my mind. With each person, it was this different image that would come in. And when it was all done and we're all sitting around in the circle to discuss the events, she just looked straight at me and she said, "Cindy, what did you see?" And I was the first person out of all of it. And in that moment, I realized, oh my God, I was seeing stuff, something different for every person. And I just kind of like panicked and I said, "Nothing, nope, got nothing for you." And then it sparked a curiosity. And then just even in that massage school, I took on a roommate from my class, and she had all these crystals in this like lunch pail. And she's like, "This is my life force, my Bible." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I got introduced to crystals in that way. And then I really got to see that there was an intuitive element inside of me when I was doing massages with people. It's like I knew where to push and I knew where to hold. And it was like a slow awakening, but I definitely knew there was something more than just muscles and tissues with what I was doing.
I have a question about this because I'm curious also. What was the mindset of you, let's say, about all of these things before, let's say, you went into that experience? What were the, I don't know, regular thoughts about this, seeing things and feeling things in general?
Oh, I was fascinated with psychics, totally fascinated with psychic stuff. And that's the only language that I had at the time, was just like, go see a psychic. And it's really exciting that way. And it was in amongst that time, it was 2000. It was definitely 2000. And I had gotten a psychic reading that was the worst reading I had ever gotten. And I was just like, that lady is so full of shit. Like, it's just like, whatever. I just wasted money I didn't have. And then boom, like I tell you, like 4 months later, everything she said happened. And I was like, holy crap, she was so on point. And my ego, my agenda was telling me that she was so far out to left field. And when it all took place, I was like, okay, that's really freaking cool. And it stayed with me. And so I was really open to like, not really open, just like open enough to see through some of the illusions that I had. I was curious. My mindset was curious. My lifestyle was very much closed off. And the partner I was at the time, he was super close to it, but he was just, open enough saying, yeah, if you want to go do that, go do that. But I was very much alone on that journey of it. And there was something more that was pulling me to step out of the routine that I had been in. And that's when I went to massage school. When I went to massage school, it's like I closed a lot of doors of the old, and I started opening up new doors. And that's when that whole intuitive stuff that really came to the forefront. It's like, you need to look at this and trust in this some more than I was before that. So that's where it all started. Where it's led is like, that's a journey in itself. So
I was gonna say, and next thing you know, you're a cosmic mom.
Yeah, who knew?
That's so awesome. I like what you said there about the curiosity, because I feel like that's such a huge component of spirituality, and where, like, maybe as a group we see it a little differently, with the curiosity and the lightness being such a part of it, rather than the whole shadow work and like always being in the depths and the darkness of everything. Like, there's a place for that, but it's not all the time. There's so much to do with laughter. So curiosity, definitely. That leads to questions. So I know about you, you kind of are someone that asks the best questions. Do you have a question that you're asking right now of the universe?
Yeah, I do. And it formulated out of different pieces that I got from the books that I'm reading. And it's like one word here, and then it just another word comes in, and it seems like the more I start questioning the universe, it's like, okay, what does this mean? And how can I go deeper with the question? My current question, you really want to know?
Yeah.
Is how do I, you're like, I do. Yeah.
Big time.
How do I become like freedom from enslavement? Is like, because I started to see when I came across the word enslavement, I saw how my thoughts, my old beliefs of the past, my money situation, my work, or, you know, who my family hold me in viewpoint, I'm like enslaved by this sort of belief systems that I carry around. And I started opening up. I say, okay, well, how do I become free from that? Like, to be free of enslavement in so many ways. And I saw all the ways that I can be enslaved just by thought. But it's not as scary as, like, it's really not that scary. It's actually really exciting to me. I'm like excited for that. I'm so on board with being free. Like, free and freedom is a really strong word for me. I really like that one. Yeah. Enslavement from the past. That's another one. Like, yeah.
That's huge. Yeah. Ian's the freedom astrologer, of course.
Right.
Of course.
So, that's definitely something we talk about a fair amount.
I do like the topic of freedom. I think these are very important questions to ask, and very big questions to ask. And I think I want to share maybe a little bit about that I've been working with lately, and maybe it will open up somebody who's listening. Maybe it will be helpful for you, Cindy, as well. It's a lot about making that decision as well. And for me, it's not only, I don't want to, releasing energy and releasing these things are really important things. Don't get me wrong, but very often it's a matter of making that freaking decision in the moment. So for example, right about the time that you're going to go out and do something that you're kind of like not supposed to do, or you are stopping yourself from doing something because somewhere somebody, some family member, some father, mother, whoever it was, said something to you, and now you're not living your life because of it. But that's the moment, that's the specific moment when you are going to have to make that decision of, I need to be free, so I'm going to do this instead, not going to go back to the old. Yeah.
It's inside of you, and only you can make that choice. No one can choose your life for you. No one can think for you. You get to think the thoughts that are in your head, and there's definitely some programmed thoughts and like patterns that we got. So how do you become free from those old patterns and be brave, be courageous, go through those new doors and welcome in new thoughts, and praying for something that you don't know what's going to happen. You know, like there's a level of trust in there, a trust inside yourself that you wouldn't be asking for this if it wasn't meaningful for you, because it's inside of you and it's coming out, it's expressing itself through you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what sorry. Yeah.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no.
Like working with people, it's like I just bring it through, and it's kind of like I have no filters. I don't want to offend you, you know. I seem to not have that so much anymore, and I will just say things to people. So I understand that as channeling, and then I trust that if this is what needs to be said, it's going to come out the way that it comes out for, you know, the person that I'm sitting with or talking with, or even for myself, because some things I've said that has triggered like shame and guilt inside of me. And I'm like, oh my God, why would you say that, Cindy? And I'm like, oh, this is a moment that I can heal and transform an old pattern. So I take those opportunities when they come up, like, you know, those triggers of emotions and stuff. And I grow, and I want to go through this stuff. I don't want to carry it around like baggage. Yeah.
Did you have like a specific also like process that maybe led you to trusting that more? You know, is it just a matter of like doing it and being and going just constantly through it and through it and through it?
Yeah, I guess there is that element of constantly going through it. But when I became aware that other people can hear my thoughts, when I owned my thoughts, much more responsible for what I was thinking and what I was feeling, because I could see how my thoughts created an energy around me that was felt by people, and then people would respond in kind to match my thoughts and my frequency. So if I was having critical thoughts about myself, I started giving off a critical energy, and then people would match that for me, and then I would experience reasons to be critical about myself. And when I really understood that it was like my outside was mirroring what was going on inside of me, I definitely stood up to a lot more ownership. So when things would go chaotic around me, I'd be like, okay, Cindy, where are you in your thoughts? How are you in your feeling? Is this like, you know, just become a master, like mastery of self in the whole journey of it. So it was really when my partner looked over at me that one day. We were driving and I was lost in my memories of the past. Like, oh man, I was living in the past in this like 5 minutes. And he was staring at me and he said, Cindy, if you want to go live in the past, go live in the past. And then I was like, oh my God, yeah, I've been thinking about the past. And I realized I wasn't being present in the moment. And so I owned it there, and it was not that he was looking into my thoughts. He just became aware of it and helped me to see that there's an ownership that comes with what you're thinking. Yeah,
I love that. Every thought counts.
That's so when you're sitting with somebody, even like when you're sitting and talking with somebody, some of the thoughts that you're thinking may not be your own thoughts. You know, to govern what I can say and what I can't say, that person needs to hear that. I trust in that. There's a level of trust there, being present in the moment, that experience when they go through their transformations inside themselves and who they are being, I have to let that go. You know, there has to be some level of acceptance inside me, and as well as the person that's sitting with me, to want change.
One might say to surrender.
Oh, word of the month.
Yeah, I think it's almost a word for life.
There is a real, and then true. Yeah, you want to go with the flow, right? And how can you find your flow? There's certain words that I find that are valuable to just keep bringing into my vocabulary for that period of time, just like that freedom of enslavement. But there is that surrendering to what am I learning here in this moment? You just need to like whenever you're feeling some kind of chaotic or control element, there is like that governor of the ego that's saying like, yeah, don't look on the other side of this door because your answer's there and we don't want you to have your answer. So it's like, well, how do you get through that door? It's hard as sometimes.
Yeah, we want to keep you nice and safe in your hidey hole.
True. Right. So what was it saying?
Like
We were talking about surrender.
Surrender.
And we were talking about how surrendering is so important because you can cage yourself so easily and try to control things, and then all of a sudden your life isn't going the way you wanted, even though you thought you wanted that, but there's actually a deeper and bigger thing for you.
Yeah, I look at whenever I catch myself trying to control things, because I definitely do it. So if it's being presented to myself like, oh, Cindy, you need to step back and look at why you feel the need to control this. I did learn years ago that whatever you are trying to control is actually what controls you. And OCD type methods, how your living room has to be a certain way. I feel that the need to have everything in that place is a controlling aspect that's like actually controlling you. Like you're not free because it has to be a certain way. So you're contained within that belief of it. So that's your cue to look at how can I let that go, that need to control my living room to look this certain way and be okay. Like, will I be safe in that? And that's where that surrender comes in. Now, if this is a curiosity for you and you want to explore it further, well, how do I surrender to this? How can I feel okay with my living room being out of balance from an old belief system that I had? So that's where I see control. It really doesn't do you any favors. There's just your answer is hiding behind why you need to control this. And then you can get more into a flow of it because your happiness is far bigger and greater on the other side of that door of control than you realize. But you don't know it's there because you haven't let go of your need to control how your living room is set up. So there's just more happiness, more energy waiting for you when you let those things go. It's just one of those keys of transformation, I guess.
Yeah. And I think anyone on a path of growth is like going to be resonating with what you're saying right now. And I think it's very exciting because then it's like the more doors you unlock, the more you're like, ooh, what's the next one? Ooh, wow, I'm really jealous about this. How can I look at that? It just gets fun, I think.
I think if you're able to look at transformation like that, you're winning. But unfortunately, I would say 99.9% aren't able to look at transformation like that. If you manage to do that, we want you on the show. We want you on the show. Yeah. We want you to come and tell us what you're doing, because you're doing it right.
Yeah, well, there has to be a desire in there to want to change, right? If you're comfortable, you don't really grow too much within your comforts. You gotta like feel edgy sometimes, and you gotta explore why you're so edgy. And is this an old pattern from my childhood? Did my mom train me to be this way? Well, how do I undo that? I mean, it's like you gotta ask yourself questions. Go inside and use your thoughts in a way that will bring out a new you. And you get to do that every day. You get to free yourself of who I was yesterday. I can become a completely different person in just a moment. These transformations, when they come in, you're calm, you're cool. You're like, hey, I'm done with that now. And it's amazing. It's very freeing.
I had thoughts pop in and now they're gone.
I think it's a really good way of kind of like summarizing it or
yeah.
It felt really complete what you just said. And maybe it's a good segue into
nice
into something even different. And I think I want to ask Cindy, how did you get into like literally doing this, you know, because it takes time, it takes effort, it takes transformation. But what are some of the other things maybe that were important on your path?
So maybe some things that the average person wouldn't know.
Oh, what are you getting at? Supportive partner in my life. Definitely. He holds a space for me to be me, and he's not telling me who I should be. Having a supportive partner really helps me. He allows me to be me, and he's not telling me who I should be. And he holds space for me. So it's nice to have that space where you feel safe and you feel supported. First off.
So Ian, do you want to tell us a little bit about Mercury Retrograde?
Yeah, I can even show you bits and pieces of Mercury Retrograde, because this is my phone now. I hope you can see it. Yeah. There's a cracked screen. God, this background, whatever. There's a cracked screen. So yeah, these types of problems like sound problems, internet problems, communication problems, problems with communication devices, internet, SMS, messages, emails, meetings. These are going to come up, and especially right now, because we're recording this during the Mercury retrograde. Right now, Mercury is still, we just had it go retrograde, and the closer we are to the actual events, the more usually the problems become evident, even stronger. The manifestation, the physical manifestations, like the cracked screen. I cracked it 3 days ago. Just building up to the retrograde. So these things happen. You need to be good with those. But like I always go with the because these things in modern astrology get talked about so much, and they're everywhere. Vogue does it. Every weird publication does it. But there's so many good things about Mercury retrograde, and I want to say these are also important to highlight
the positives.
Yeah, going deeper, doing deep intellectual work, putting in the efforts, learning some skill, putting efforts there into that, building some website, building some product, building something, behind the scenes, and also, working out past things, fixing some problems, improving something, making it better. So after the retrograde, you're able to publish, re-release the better thing that you made during the retrograde. And I think it's really important for also the people to understand these are the places where information comes your way, especially building up to retrograde. It comes your way, the important information, bits and pieces. And now during the retrograde, old information comes, and you can put it together. You can make something new. You can make something better with all of those pieces of information. So this is important also for people to understand.
Yeah, that's inspiring for me to revamp some of the online stuff material that I've got. Definitely, it's a good opportunity to take a look at that and redo that.
I would really recommend going into that and making it good. And after the retrograde is over, bringing it out to the streets, bringing it out to people to be
to the streets.
Do that.
I love that so much, because oh my god.
I maybe want to touch upon it before we go back to Cindy's space as well, because guys, there's so many things we do, so many ideas we get, so many insights, ideas. It's not really useful for anybody if they stay stuck in a drawer or some to-do list or whatever. Bring them to the streets, make it happen, use them, share them with others. There's so many people out there who are requiring and needing these things, so bring them out to the streets.
I feel like me and Cindy are just nodding dogs right now, yeah.
It's really beneficial to do it. Take the leap, and also look for the help and the support that is around you, because maybe you don't have the skills or just that rhythm, but someone around you does. When the desire is there, Mercedes kicked in and helped me overcome some obstacles, some tech obstacles that I had. And I've learned a lot from it though, but being open and just flowing with it, it's definitely, it will find you. Your answer will find you with it if you want to do this. Definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I think that's a good segue back into what we were talking about before. And surrendering, because I mean, as Ian said before, we're recording this during a Mercury retrograde. We obviously had issues with the sound, issues with the internet connection, and now we're surrendering to a new option. And back to Cindy. So surrendering. The cosmic mom. So okay, let's start at the beginning. So you started off going to massage school, asking all the questions, you became curious, you moved through life, and now you're a cosmic mom.
Oh yeah, it happened just like that.
Just like that, very quick.
Like that.
11 years just smashed into.
About like 18 years that took to do all of that. Yeah, but as one door opens, you just keep moving through it. And then it builds your curiosity. Why these magical, mystical moments happen in your life, and recognizing that they've been happening all along. When you stop and slow it down and you're like, okay, what is the memories that I have of these magical moments? And it's surprising for me. Well, I can only really speak for myself, but man, I had a lot, and I just accepted it almost as like just normal. But really, there were all opportunities to go deeper in and to really look. You have your answers all along. You just didn't quite notice it. So I've learned over the years that all my answers are inside of me. And I'm the one that's getting in the way from me finding those answers due to the patterns and beliefs that I had about myself or about the world in which I live in. And I can then undo that. So how do I undo it? Well, I'd ask myself, and I say prayers and I ask for like help from the unseen world, because if I believe that there is help, whenever you ask, there's always an answer and help that's provided for you. So I ask, and the more you ask, the more you receive, and the better your questions get. It's like they get more expanded. You start to expand your vocabulary when you're opening up those doors inside yourself.
I have
wondering. No, me.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering if you can speak to like thoughts as energy, because you said something about people's perception of you. And I've been really tuning into this lately of like, who am I to other people? What are they holding me? Like, what tiny jail cell am I in other people's minds? And what energy is that generating for me to be able to expand? And then what do you think?
Well, I maybe don't feel like I know what's inside another person's mind, but if I had asked that kind of a question, I would have to trust what I get inside my mind as true. And whatever I start to feel and see inside myself when I ask a very specific question, that is a truth. Well, then if this is a truth, if this person thinks of me so little, what do I do next? If it's just like a vague question at first, so you can sort of build some understanding and some momentum, and then it's like, well, how does this evolve? And if this person is meant to leave my life, especially if it's they're holding you small and they're affecting you in a negative way, well, okay, how do I segue out of this relationship or friendship?
Nice.
Oh yeah, segue. Yes,
we love the segue.
Yeah, because there's these transitions that we're going through. We don't have to carry everybody that we've ever met with us our whole life. Well, really, you look around, how many people did you let go from elementary school or high school or carry on? You will go on living your life. They will live theirs. You do not have to carry anybody. So, especially if it's a negative, well, then how do I move on from this? How do I close that door? So that's one way of just opening it up. But you can ask to see the specifics. Well, what is this relationship all about? Can it transform? Can it change? If not, then how do I move out of this? Segue.
Ian, do you remember what it was you were
Yeah,
gonna
what
ask?
was
Oh
it?
yeah. I have a question. I think this question maybe a lot of people can relate to, and you said something, you mentioned, asking and listening to the guidance, but you also mentioned the word resistance, a resistance to this type of thing, to receive it, to get it, to even use it, I would say. And a lot of people, I think, very sensitive, very gifted people have that at first, because they're coming from such a, left brain kind of only type, we do this way type world. Maybe you can, give some of your ways to release that resistance, to start trusting that more. What are some of the main things that you maybe learned on your journey?
The main thing is own it. Own it every time. When someone is pointing something out to you about yourself, look in and like, is this true? Do I do this? And it's like, the more that you're going to own maybe your faults or, those hurtful things, then they're not hidden, and they're not like, they're not shame and they're not guilt anymore. Cause it's like, oh, I just didn't realize that was there. And then you can transform that into like maybe a healing moment where then you can teach other people. The more that you own your thoughts and that I am receiving insights or the magic in your life, the more that you recognize these things, the more that they just seem to happen for you. And that's where it's like, when you're asking questions of the universe, like the more specific you get when you expand your vocabulary of it, it just seems to when the answer comes in, it comes in with a clarity because you sent it out with a clarity. And then you're just like, I asked for this. And not everything that you get in return is like magical, mystical fairies and all beautiful and lovely and awesome. They're like challenges. They're in your face, and your friends and your loved ones that are close to you, they're basically going to be those channels for you to receive your answers. So they become what you asked for, so that you could see this about yourself, so that you could heal and transform that. And then you can carry on. As soon as you recognize that you've received that, it's like all of the animosity that you might have had, or judgment. That's a really good one. It's like the judgment you had for the other person just dissolves, and you see them as like, thank you for loving me, for trusting and giving it to me like I needed it. I needed to see and hear it that way so that I could do this. So they become your teachers and your helpers and your healers. And yeah, it's like not always easy.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and I was kind of wanting to segue there into like how to become less sensitive about it. Because so many, yeah, just like nothing, right? How to become less sensitive about it, because I find a lot of people are in this emotional addiction of, oh, this thing is happening, and it's your answer, but you're so like wrapped up in the emotion that you can't even see it as an answer. So how do you make that transition from the addiction to the freedom?
Well,
I'm doing the Lizzo dance move. I just love it so much.
I don't know if it's addiction to freedom, but I do see it as addiction to the emotion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like moving from the addiction to the emotion into the freedom of emotion, like releasing, letting go of that.
Right. And recognizing that you are in the emotion is basically how I look at it. Like when I'm being emotional, I'm learning something. And so when I recognize that I'm being emotional, which may come hours after this emotional explosion began, I start going in and questioning. And it's like, okay, I say like my mind is like a factory. And when I'm emotional, I am an employee of the factory. I'm not the boss. And my emotions are telling me what to do, and I'm just like doing it just like my emotions are dictating. And then I've had to mantra there. I think I had like a 3-day sort of depression type feeling. And like, I know like depression is just like this hole that pulls you in. And it felt like I just kept saying, I am the master of my mind. I'm the boss of this factory. What's going on? I need to understand this. And I recognize I am not my emotion. And so I started taking away what I was identifying through the emotions. And it took a few days on this one particular memory. But I came out of it. When you think about like depression, that can go on for months and years, but this was a few days, and I was like able to come out of it by questioning it and using that logical side of my brain, and just questioning it and letting the answers come when it was the right time to come. I didn't force the answer, I didn't chase the answer. That's another one too, because if you're chasing it with emotions trailing behind you, it's just going to be an emotional, I'm right, you're wrong, and that's the end of that. So
Grab your pitchforks and
yeah. And it's so cool because when it lands, you are not emotional anymore, and it's like it's almost a painful laugh that you have at yourself. You're like, oh, why did I just display all of that? Like, oh, okay, it's cool. I'm a human being.
yeah, that was my outside voice. I wonder too, like, I think it has a lot to do with beliefs as well, because when you're in that, you're generally believing something about yourself that's untrue, that's not really real. You're kind of in this illusion.
Yeah. If it's emotionally charged, it's usually
A lie.
A lie, exactly. Yeah. So the lies we tell ourselves.
Yeah, no freaking kidding.
But when you own it as much as possible, you look at it and you realize that you're the master of your mind and your emotions are not the master of your life. Like you just start taking back all this energy and you become this empowered person and you live from that. It's so cool how your outside world starts to match this, I don't know, like, I don't really like the use of the word power, but it's like this inner power that comes through you and you see your strengths more than you see your weaknesses.
I think it's important. I also want to mention, because I had a issue with power as well. I sometimes say it. I also don't like the word power, but then I started thinking about like, why do I don't like the word power? Because I have some things, associated with it that I don't prefer. But if, like, let's say, like what you said and what you talked about, or what you give voice to was, a lot of that internal power, let's say, over your demons, over your pain, over your emotions, over yourself, over your energy. And it's not a controlling power, but it's more like mastery type of power. So in that case, already, in my mind, my judgment towards power starts to shift, and it starts to become, oh, okay, so I actually like power. I enjoy empowerment. And it's a lot better to live in this type of empowerment or rather than being a slave, like we said at the beginning, or you said, to whatever is holding us back, or the past, or the parents, or the spouse. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
Power
over, power under.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where you want to avoid that.
Yeah, I like your ad there, our relationship with the word. It's like, well, why do I feel like I don't like it? And I'm holding this judgment over it. It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe there's something I can look at on that one, right? So when you shifted your perspective of it, where it's like, empowerment, that's still got the word power in it. And energy, it shifts, does.
Yeah. And mastery. I like that a lot. Like, I'm the master of my mind.
Yeah.
I want
one of my
just
favorites.
but like there's a danger there. I think what I've seen in my specific experience, like, I'm the master, it really, it's a very, very, like, a thin line of like, I'm the master, I'm the power, I'm the boss, but the humility needs to be there. You need to know it, but once it gets to the I'm, it's not the same anymore. It shifts to like an identity. You're starting to build an identity again to yourself that will know, and that will imprison you, very quickly and very soon.
Right. I can see where you're going with that one, definitely. And how I see it is more like I created phrases and go-tos, like mantras, for me to help me to rewire my brain, rewire out of the old programs that I was in, the victimization, the oh poor me, or something like that. Like I could see that I had these limitations, but I didn't know how to get out of my limitations. I would, there was a lot more. Okay, so my perception at the time was that the people around me were way more gifted spiritually than I was. So I really held myself down and I felt safe there. Well, how and when am I going to pull myself out of that safe space and bring myself into like a more like ownership of who I am, my abilities, my connection, my channelings, my truth. But I couldn't be that person as long as I kept myself below another person or a belief system. And no one's going to pull me out of that either. It's like, I need to choose to see where I'm holding myself back and to find my way out of it. And I have friends and material like astrology, and spirituality and smudging, a lot of smudging.
Lots of smudge, ton of smudge.
You know, and prayers. So they really do work. They really do work. And the desire was there to come out of it. So
do you want to segue into praying then? Like, what do you perceive prayer to be?
I see prayer as a conversation with the universe. I took away that whole religious aspect of it that I was raised in. I was raised in a Mormon church. You know, it's these, thys, thous, and you know, like bow down to it all. Yeah. So it was a separate being from me, and now my understanding is a lot more. It's like one with me, and so when it's one with me, it's like this flowing conversation. I feel like I'm talking to this higher self of mine. And I include all different names like, you know, Creator or Earth Mother, and the angels, the guides, the masters, the teachers, the ancestors, you know, I'll bring them all in. I'm like, I don't know who's going to help me here, but hey, you guys are all welcome. Yeah. So when I pray, I do invite in all of these possibilities of where my answer might come from. I really don't want to control just one way. And then I just have a conversation where I'm at, what I, you know, feel, and it's just a flow. And it seems like the more that I do it, the more things start happening for me, and a lot more clarity comes in with what I'm asking for in my life.
Yeah. I liked what you said there at the beginning about taking away the religious aspect of prayer, because I think everyone really sees themselves as separate from God. And it's like, God's not that far away. It's you.
I think it is one of the biggest things, and I had the same, and I think a lot of people have it, because prayer, the word prayer associates with religion, whatever type of religion. And you know, a lot of people are quite resistant to religion these days, you know, that type of religion, and I can understand, and I can make good points that they're kind of on the right path, but it's it's like a mental mindset shift again, because you know, at least I'll share quickly my mental shift with that, because again, totally religious, didn't want to pray. Even saying the word prayer was I didn't like it. But now I shifted it from I'm praying from a religious perspective, but I'm in communion and in communication with myself or higher self or universe, whatever, you know, you choose. Basically, you can say God, you know, but not the religious God. But because he's out, he's
the dude in the sky with a beard and a.
He wants to control you. Okay. Just kidding.
Not that. We're talking about the life force that's in everything.
Yeah. You just need to make that mental shift. You can say energetic and internal shift that it's suitable for you. And I really like that, Cindy, you know, you spoke to it, and I hope it really gets to a lot of people out there listening, and you're going to listen to this and they're going, okay, so it's not about religion. It's about me being in communion with God or myself.
And I want want to say there's an element of honesty with it too, because it's like you really have to be truthful when you're praying.
Indeed, you do. Because you're saying it's coming from inside of yourself. And that's where your prayers or your communion, your communication, your conversation is channeling. And the more that you're doing it and you're being truthful with yourself and you're in that flow, you are actually channeling your deep desires, you know, that your wants, your needs, your support. So you're all channelers. We all are. And when we trust that, what's coming out my mouth is like, it's meant to come out the way it comes out, and I'll own it. You know, I said it. Why did I say it that way? Why did I ask for that in my prayer? And it's like, whew, there's this, I don't know, bigger energy that comes in with it, especially when your answers start finding their way to you, and some of them come really quick. Yeah. So you can ask for big things. You can ask for little things that just, it doesn't matter. You know, it's all up to you. So I encourage anyone to explore that, to be curious and experiment. No one's trying to make you believe in something here. It's like, you know what, just give it a try and see what it's like. Pray every night before you go to bed. Pray once a week, you know, whatever it is, but just see, how will this change my life? And for the better, I'm sure it will, but yeah.
I think that's a really nice segue actually into
It's a really good segue.
Really good segue into dreams and nighttime. And so I've learned a lot about sleep and dreams and all that from you, Cindy. What do you feel like would be the most important thing for people to know, for someone to know about dreams and sleep and what can go on there?
One thing is, a lot of people, they say that they don't remember their dreams. And yeah, it's not that you don't remember your dreams, but it's not that you didn't dream. So ask to remember all the events that take place in the night. And, you know, the more you ask, the more it's going to start coming through. And have a dream journal nearby, and always date the dream that came through, because your subconscious is running 24 hours a day. And when you go to sleep at night, your conscious mind is the one that steps out of the way. And so your subconscious is running all of your answers through to you. And it's giving you all your answers. And it's like almost like this filter comes in when our consciousness kicks back on. And when we wake up and we're like, oh, you know, but you're containing all your answers there in your mind. So you can ask to dream of your future. Ask to receive your answers. You can ask to be doctored in the night so that your body feels good when you wake up in the morning. You can ask to go to the schools in the universe. You can ask to visit your Akashic records to receive the downloads of the wisdom you learned in other lifetimes. I mean, like, you can ask for all kinds of things. I mean, what if? Pretty
much just got to be creative. You're only limited by your imagination.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think that there's and I don't know, maybe just speaking from experience, a lot of people don't record the dreams because they also don't know how to interpret it.
Right. But when you're recording your dreams, you start to recognize symbology
and patterns. What are your
Exactly.
patterns? Do you want to share your patterns in your dreams?
Well,
it's up to you.
I kind of feel like you've got a pattern that you just became aware of.
Oh yeah, I do too. It started a while back, actually, in the meditation. Ian saw it for me in elevator. You saw an elevator, right?
Inner workings of an elevator.
I saw an inner workings of an elevator, and I saw like the stethoscope. I think it's the stethoscope, the doctors.
Stethoscope, yeah.
And for me, a lot of the message was like the elevator doctor, and I was like super confused.
Yeah. Well, there was some other stuff there that I won't touch on, but so I started dreaming about elevators like a lot recently. And I'm like, okay, what is this? And it's like, to me, it's a symbol of reaching higher consciousness, awareness. It's been said to me like climbing Jacob's ladder into like in a very fast way, because taking the elevator, not the stairs.
Yeah. Reaching
Yeah.
like higher levels of knowledge, or it's a symbol that you're on this journey.
Yeah,
right?
totally. And that, but that's just for me, right? Another person might have an elevator and it might be totally different. They might be going down. Like, you know, for me, I'm going up. And so that's been a cool symbol. I've been really liking it. I wake up, I'm like, nice, elevator again.
Moving on up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it's going up.
To the spirits in the sky.
Love it.
Yeah, and when you become aware of your dream symbology, you'll start to get more clarity and answers to it. Because I didn't understand mine, I just was always driving. But then I recognized I was driving in different kinds of vehicles, like my mom's car, or a school bus, or a motorcycle with a flat tire and going opposite direction, a hybrid car parked in the library parking lot, you know, like, so there, wherever there was a car in my dream, I recognized that I was going through some kind of transformation in my life. And I was using that symbolism of the events of the driving situation I was in, like going on the wrong way on a one way, or driving vertical, you know, there's so many different elements to how I would drive cars and what kind of vehicles in my dreams. But it was like, the more that I started becoming aware that this pattern was revealing itself. So yeah, just ask to remember your dreams. And if you record your dreams, just keep it really simple and try to do it right away when you get out of bed. And I always recommend dating it. And one thing you can do, which is really fun, I got so many answers that I stopped doing it because it kind of freaked me out. We just ask a question before you go to sleep and take that one question while you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not that it freaked me out, but I like stopped doing it because my dreams gave me answers within the week. I had three of my questions answered in the week, and it was like Monday's question got answered on Thursday's dream, and I could see how I'd written it out. So very clear, one question, don't make it a complicated question, and very specific. So like, we sleep every night, man. You can get an answer to one question every night. What would your question be?
Might as well, you know, do something.
Yeah. You experiment with and you be curious with your ability to connect. That's where I was always told from the cosmic dad, Joe Greenland. He says your angels are all hanging out around you playing solitaire, every now and then looking down on you, saying, hey, you need some help.
Yeah.
They want to help you.
Are they going to ask?
Yeah. So they're not going to come in and live your life for you. Yeah. So you have to ask. So the more you ask, the more you get.
Well, it's free will, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the choice. It's your own adventure.
Do or don't. No one's making you. Yeah.
So guys, use the time wisely and be the ultimate spiritual hustle, or, you know, not a moment wasted, only just constant connection to God. It's like
spiritual hustler.
Like only spirit. It's like no time wasted.
It's like a big coat of like.
Oh, it's like it's like spiritual Gary V, you know. Or even our dream life should be optimized.
It should be nonstop.
Yeah.
No rest.
That's where it's like, use your imagination, let it stretch, go to those places, ponder on the long thought or the deep thought or the miraculous or the wonderful, you know. It's like, why not? You know, why be basic?
You will not find basic around this,
no.
around here.
Not on this channel, not on this podcast.
No way. Oh
Awesome.
my gosh.
Well, thanks guys for having me on the Cosmic Adults, and I look forward to being back again.
Yeah, thanks for coming. It was a lovely chat. Well, what we didn't talk about yet, which we will right now immediately, is that Cindy offers one-on-one channeling transformations, coaching you through whatever it is that you've got going on, teaching you, leading you, guiding you with the utmost compassion through your things
Towards freedom.
Yeah.
Towards freedom. Yeah. Cindy's not gonna like
Push.
she'll bring the fire.
Well, I will.
There's yeah.
I try not to like dance around too much, but so that you'll get your answers.
Yeah. So if you're interested in one-on-one channeling transformation with Cindy, website?
Foxstreamer.com.
Yeah.
It will
Find
be
all
in the
kinds of
links.
resources on there. Yeah. The links will be in the description or box or wherever they are.
It's the internet. It will be, somewhere.
If you're looking for it.
No,
find it.
come on. Okay. Let's be serious. It will be in the description box, and it will be in the, it will be in the podcast description box and YouTube description box. Guys, come on.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out and hearing what we have to say. It's been awesome. We love doing this. We're here to help.
Keep going that, or keeping that spiritual hustle on, and not a time wasted, not a second wasted, guys.
Never
It's
turn
all-
it off.
Never turn it off. Okay, I can't be serious. It was awesome episode, guys. Thank you, Cindy, for coming on. Most
Thanks. Cindy.
often we're going to bring you on even more, etc., etc. Thank you very much, guys. See you soon in the next episode. Peace.